Okay, good evening, everybody, and welcome to the North Platte City Council special meeting here on Tuesday, September 24th, 2024, and we are at 6:30 p.m. here in the City Council chambers, of course. Calling the meeting officially to order. Angie, would you roll call, please?
Nisley.
Here.
Tryon.
Here.
Cole.
Here.
Lucas.
Here.
Garrett.
Here.
Landon.
Here.
Richard. Wood.
Thank you. Current copy of the Open Meetings Act of the State of Nebraska is posted on the wall at the back of the council chambers. Okay, we have 3 items on our agenda tonight. Brent, you might as well get close to the podium here. I have a feeling you're going to be talking to us a little bit, but you don't have to come right this second. I was just trying to save you from repositioning later. Item number 1. Discuss contract for industrial wastewater plant lagoon liner and allow the mayor to change contractor selection and negotiate and execute contracts. Okay. Brent, you want to tell us why this item is on the agenda, please?
Good evening, Mayor, Council. At a prior meeting, we had approved the low bid on the lagoon liner, and then through the subsequent negotiations as authorized, we ran into some discrepancies or discrepancies on the amount that was bid, and we went through the discussion on the details, and then we got a second round, and we were still getting different dollar amounts versus what was bid. So we're recommending going with the second bidder. The difference was around $20,000 on a roughly $1.5 million amount. So it's a small difference. And depending on how the contract was proceeded with, the second one could be a lower price than the first one with the things we were bumping into. So
Brent, could you remind me of the spelling of the second bidder's
it's
company name?
well, we're dealing with initials or acronyms.
Okay, that's fine.
EFI USA.
EFI USA.
Correct.
And that is the second bidder.
Correct.
Okay.
And we visited with them on schedule, and we're getting later in the year. It's later than when we were at last time, but we have a plan and some different options on getting this implemented as soon as possible.
Okay.
So scheduling is no problem.
Correct.
With this. Okay.
It'd be similar schedules with anybody at this point, so.
With that, I would move to approve the selection of EFI USA for anaerobic lagoon liner work for the industrial wastewater treatment plant and authorize the mayor to negotiate and execute the contracts.
Second.
Motion by Vols, second by Reeker. We have any further discussion on this item? We have the expert standing up there at the microphone, so now would be the time to answer questions. Mr. Lucas?
It's a technical question. So does our prior approved action just sit out there, or does this replace that?
This replaces
Replaces that? Okay, thank you.
Okay, any other further discussion? Calling the question on item number 1. Item number 1 is passed. Item number 2. Approve the bid and authorize the mayor to negotiate and sign contract documents with Dowhauer Construction, Inc. for Cody Park Pool expansion.
I move to approve the bid and authorize mayor to negotiate and sign contract documents with Dowhauer Construction, Inc. for Cody Park Pool expansions.
Second.
Motion by Garrick, second by Flanders. Discussion. We have some numbers here to consider. Brent, would you pass those out, please? Yep. This is a summary, and I'll go through it here a little bit when Brent gets it handed out. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, starting with the upper left corner there under the word cost, we have the base bid, and that's, I'm just going to talk in round numbers here, 8.3 million and change. And then we have a list of 6 alternates totaling, well, the first alternate is 202,000, the second alternate is 525,000, the third alternate is 179, and the fourth alternate is 254,000. These are various potential additions to the project that were bid on by the bidders, the 2 bidders that we received. There's also alternate number 5, which is a splash pad. You notice that has a line through it, and its cost is 303,000. And painting the existing pool, which was alternate number 6, with a cost of 168,000. The amount that the voters approved for this project is $7 million. And you will notice that if you look at the entire total there, under the first horizontal line, if you include the RDG services, which is the architect, a group of architects, you'll see that the entire cost of the pool as bid was $10,008,433, which of course is a bit more than $7 million. The bit part was intended to be sarcastic and a little bit of a joke, but anyway, significantly more than okay. So as a group, we face the issue about what do we do about this, because obviously we don't have an extra $3 million sitting around, and the voters did not approve it. So the team worked together with the folks from Dowhowers who are out here in the audience and said, what can we value engineer out of the contract? And it's still a bit of a work in progress, but we know that we can value engineer out somewhere between $300,000 and $400,000 worth of things that are in that bid, that we can change products or do something different to take out some of the cost. An example Brent gave me today is paint some of the walls rather than tile some of the walls. Things like that don't change the functionality of the entity, but just it might look a little different, something along those lines. So that brings us down to a cost of 9.6 to 9.7, depending on how much we can value engineer out of the project. Then if you go to the bottom box there, you'll see the revenue associated with this. And the first line, of course, is the sales tax initiative, which would generate $7 million. Very fortunately, we've also received a grant for $2 million. So that gets us to $9 million in quick numbers. And we have a couple different entities in town who are looking at sponsoring some of the slides at Cody Pool on a 20-year named basis, and they have agreed, in order to do so, to donate somewhere between $500,000 and $700,000 to make that happen. So that gets us slightly over our $9.5 million based on those numbers. Now, the one thing that we're not sure about is that line that says donation. Nobody has officially signed to agree to make that donation. So what we will do, assuming the council approves, is in the event that we're unable to raise that donation money over the next 90 days or so, we would just not execute on alternate item number 2. Yeah, alternate item number 2, which is the new family plunge slide, its cost being $525,000. So the slide just would not be put in as part of this project, thus equaling out the revenues versus the expenses. Do you have a question, Mark?
The slide or the bridge?
I think it's
I think it's a bridge.
the bridge.
That'd be the slide.
It's the slide. Alternate number 2 cost is $525,000. I had to lay a paper across it to see what it lined up as, but it's a little bit deceiving there, the way the numbers are
Base
listed.
bid, alternate.
It is, yeah, I had to, sorry. Thought I had a bifocal failure there for a second, but, okay. All right. That kind of runs through what the potential budget for this is. The project was the cost versus the revenue. Our folks from Dowhower are here, and so is Brent, if anybody has any questions.
So what's a concrete bridge island? What's,
There's an island in the middle of the lazy river, and that's the bridge that goes out to it. It has to be an ADA approved bridge, so it's kind of big because you have to have a certain slant to it. It doesn't just go like a bridge that most of us could walk over. It has to be something that a person in a wheelchair could manage easily. So
and we have to have a concrete island out there?
otherwise you have a lazy pond
Oh, okay.
or just
I don't
a
know, I've
pond.
never seen a lazy river before. Creeks, yeah, but I don't know what this is.
Other questions? Mr. Lucas?
Go ahead.
I'll go.
Quickly, the $2 million in grant funding, does that take funding away from anything else that we have on the board or planned?
No.
Thank you.
Ed?
Mr. Mayor, it looks like if we subtract the 525,000 out of there, we're gonna have a little money left over, depending on where our value engineering comes into play.
Mm-hmm.
If we have enough to reintroduce one of those value engineered items out and still stay under the 7 million, I guess I would suggest that we look at those options and take the one that makes the most sense and put it back in here. So we slide in at 6,999,000.
We will certainly do that.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me. I mean, this is a lot of money any way you slice it.
And as always, we will look to try to make sure we have the quality of items that will last the longest for the city.
That's
and
exactly what I'm
where we
talking
can and things like that. And you think about it, I mean, just in the example I gave, painting versus tile. I mean, yes, it might have to be repainted, but that will be much less expensive than having to be retiled, so things like that make some sense. So,
Well, and I was thinking about the painting too. I mean, there's coatings out there today that are, I wouldn't say they're as good as tile, but tile aren't forever either. The adhesive breaks down and you have loose tiles that are loose. And so, yeah, there may be some options to put some of that back in there and have a better product than without it.
Mr. Vols?
Mr. Mayor, and to Ed's point, and I think everyone on this council wants this to be as wow as we can possibly have it. So even if we have to get a little bit, and it sounds like you're trying to get extremely creative, and whatever I can do to support this, or we as an entity, I think we want this to be wow. If you're going to spend $9 million and you're sitting over there at 500,000 to give something that is really going to be beneficial to the citizens in North Platte, I think we could come up with a way to get 500,000 of the donation. You see, that's my point, is just, and I know the city's on board with that. And I think as a council, I think we don't want to mince dollars if you're going to lose a really cool feature that would be really popular for the citizens in North Platte when you're spending $9 million on something. So, no, I love your plan. I know exactly what you're trying to do, and you're trying to be as conscientious and as frivolent with the taxpayers' money, but we want to make sure we have a really good product coming out on the backside of this too. So, thank you.
Well, thank you for saying so. And that has been one of the challenges through this, is we did not want to lose the wow factor in this scenario, because if we would not do this. But if we had agreed to spend a bunch of money and ended up with essentially what we have today, that would have been a disservice to the community. And so we're not going to do that. What the folks at Dowhowers are going to build here is going to be really nice, and people are going to love it. And, I think the community is going to be pretty proud and happy of this. And I'm quite confident that donation amount will come to fruition in some form. Donna?
I would like to also say that I'm glad to see a local company doing the work.
Yeah, we are too. Other questions or comments? Ed?
How long do you anticipate waiting, on getting these extra donations before you pull the trigger?
At this point, we'll have to work a little bit with the contractor, but because of the slide scenario, at some point, probably around 9 months from now, we're going to hit a decision point where we have to decide whether to do that or not. But I'm pretty confident we'll be okay in the next 3 to 5 months.
Well, and the only reason I ask that, I don't think we can expect the contractor to hang out there so many months without having his prices nailed down.
Exactly. And
Probably not very likely, they're telling us prices are gonna come down, that that's actually gonna happen.
it doesn't happen very often.
Hasn't happened yet.
Exactly. So,
Okay.
other questions or comments? Seeing none, calling the question on item number 2, please. Item number 2 is passed. Item number 3, action on ordinance number 4184, amending salary ordinance number 4177, establishing a salary schedule for the position of serviceman/lineman and updating the salary schedule for the positions of wastewater treatment plant operator and utility maintenance worker 4.
Move to suspend the rules requiring, oh, you gotta read the ordinance.
Yep, sorry. I got it.
Ordinance number 4184, an ordinance of the mayor and council of the city of North Platte, Leakey County, Nebraska, amending salary ordinance number 4177 to provide a salary schedule for a serviceman/lineman and updating the salary schedule for wastewater treatment plant operator and utility maintenance worker 4, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing for the effective date and publication thereof.
And before anyone motions, because salaries change on October 1st, if the council would consider passing this in one motion or in one round of voting, we'd appreciate that very much.
I move to suspend the rules requiring 3 separate readings and to approve ordinance number 4184.
Second.
Motion by Garrick, second by Reeker. Any discussion? Seeing none, calling the question on item number 3, please. Item number 3 is passed in one reading. Mr. Reeker?
Mr. Mayor, I move that we adjourn. Second.
Motion by Reeker, second by Nistley for adjournment. Calling the question on adjournment, please. Mr. Woods, your vote didn't register there. Sorry. Okay. Got to vote first. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone. We'll see you back here on October 1st.